Alright, this video's titled is FMK False. Now, it was kind of inspired by somebody that emailed me, one of the supporters, saying that there's some haters out there claiming that what I'm doing is false and all this other stuff. And it just made me feel like I wanted to respond back with that topic, as far as is FMK false. Now, I think people have a very big misunderstanding. Like, what I'm doing is so uncommon and so rare that people may think it's false because they're just so used to people are so used to imitating and copying other people that they think that's real. And because they think imitating is real, what I'm doing seems to be unreal because I'm not imitating, I'm not copying, I'm doing my own thing. And then they think that I'm a fraud because they say they think that I need an authority to give me permission to do what I'm doing, when I don't. Because what I'm doing is I'm creating my own. It's like I'm not, basically what would be a fraud is like, say, like you got a subway corporation that creates all these subways, right? And that's a real business, a real corporation. And then you open your own business and then you call it Subway without their permission. That's fraud. And that's what I criticize everybody that's claiming JKD to be, are frauds. Because they didn't create JKD, Bruce Lee did. And then they go ahead and open up a school and label it Jeet Kune Do without his permission. That to me is fraudulent. The only way that it cannot be fraudulent is when the person that created that label gives the permission to people to open up a school with his permission. Then it's not fraud, right? So, okay, what else is fraud? Fraud is like, say, I'm Freddie Lee, and then I make a Facebook account saying that I'm Bruce Lee when I'm not. That's fraud, right? So say I'm Freddie Lee. I got my own email address, Freddie Lee. That's not fraud. That's real. It's mine. I created the label Freddy's Modern Kung Fu. I created that. That's real. I created it. I get the domain Freddy's Modern Kung Fu and it's operated under me. That's real. But if somebody else takes that domain and without my permission and starts operating it, that's the fraud. Okay, what else is fraud? So say you got your own credit cards under your name. That's real. You're using the credit cards as your name. But say you take somebody else's credit card without their permission and you start charging things up, that's fraud. So that's basically, I'm explaining all of this because this is a definition of fraud. Like when you do something without somebody's permission and you're taking somebody's like name or title without their permission, that's fraudulent. Now, when it comes to like passing on styles and lineages and all this other stuff, there's a lot of fraudulent activity going on because a lot of this stuff is stolen from China. So it's mainly like for example, Wing Chun. Wing Chun's a Chinese name. So there's a Chinese system labeled Wing Chun. And then if somebody steals it in China, they could get in trouble for fraud. But say they steal it from there and they bring it to the US, they don't get in trouble because the international laws don't apply over here. So it's like they become fraudulent over here by stealing something from over there and claiming it, basically profiting off of it over here that's like, you know, they're stealing somebody else's stuff and profiting off of it, right? So that's like basically like taking somebody's music, making money off of it without their permission. Okay. All right. So that's why you see a lot of the fraud in the martial arts, is because they just steal somebody else's stuff, bring it over here and make money off of it, right? So basically what I've been promoting is for people to create their own labels, create their own names, rather than stealing other people's stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I've created my own label. I created my own way of teaching. You know, I don't take stuff from other people. You know, I create my own things. The way that I teach, the way that I express myself, it's original. You know, and because it's original, and because people just aren't used to that. They're not used to original stuff. You know what I'm saying? So most people, what they're used to is like, you know, they're not used to discoveries. They're used to just you taking information from other people. You know, and then they're just not used to like somebody that's actually somebody that's creating something on their own. And basically that's what I'm creating all this on my own. I mean, I created this YouTube channel. You know, I created the word Freddy's, you know, the whole thing, Freddy's Modern Kung Fu. You know, and I'm operating that. I'm operating my website. You know, I created these shirts. This picture right here, that's me. You know, I mean, the yin yang symbol and then these Chinese characters, I chose those specifically for my logo. Freddy's Modern Kung Fu. This is like a representation of me, you know. And the way that I express myself, it's like, it's all creativity. It's all original. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that other people haven't created it before I have, but I don't go out there looking at other people's stuff and then just copying it and imitating it. I don't do that. You know, I don't spend my time doing that. I try to allow the creativity to come on its own within me. You know, and that's pretty much what I'm sharing with the people, is my expression of Kung Fu. Like what I've learned in life, and that's what I express. You know, and in the future, if it grows, what would be fraudulent is when people try to represent what I've created without my permission. Then it becomes fraudulent. You know, but when you're the creator of something, there's no such thing as fraud, because you're the creator, you're the originator. You know, and that's pretty much what I teach, is what's original, that comes from me within. Whereas most of everybody out there, they're just passing on information. That's what they're doing. They're just passing on information of something that's created by somebody else. But that's not what I do. You know, and really, I'm not even seeking to gain followers of my way. I'm just expressing my way. And if people want to follow, that's on them. That's up to them. But for me, my objective is not even to find followers. My objective is just to be myself. And that's the true way to be real and original, is just being yourself. You know, and that's my highest ideal right there, is being original, being real. You know, and when you're original and real, there's no such thing as being fraudulent, because you're just real with what you have to say, what you do, and everything. You know what I mean? But that's my response to that. You know, but people, they don't understand. You know, they think they're so used to like having to adhere to some authority, but I don't have that authority. You know, because if I would have kept training under the same school that I started off with in the martial arts, then I would be under their authority, and I would have to basically listen to what they tell me to do. But I broke free from that, and I became my own authority, and that's not common in the martial arts, because most people, when they join a school, they're stuck there, and they're under the authority of that school. But you don't rarely ever meet somebody that actually creates their own, and then has it developed into something that becomes successful. So for example, like, you could create a YouTube channel, but it doesn't mean it'll be successful. A lot of people create one, but it doesn't mean it'll be successful. But there are some people that actually create a YouTube channel, and then it becomes successful, you know, through time. And that's pretty much what I mean, is that, like, a lot of people could try to create their own martial art way, but to have it become an impact in society, that's very uncommon. You know, so that's what I'm doing. I'm doing something that's very uncommon, and that's why people may try to accuse me of being false, because they just don't understand what I'm doing. It's just something absolutely new. But you know, it happens out there in the business world. People create a business, a new business, and it could succeed or it could fail. A lot of times it fails. You see a lot of businesses that open up and then they close down. You see a lot of YouTube channels that are unsuccessful, but then you find some that are successful. You find some people that may try to develop their own martial art way, but not a lot of times will it be successful. So somebody, the person that created Aikido, he created a new label, a new way, a new expression, and it propagated that new way, and it has become relatively successful in reaching out to a greater audience. But just because it reaches out to a great audience doesn't necessarily mean it's successful. What really is important is what kind of message is this creation? What kind of message is this creation spreading out to the people? But that's all I know how to do, is be real and be honest, and that's why I love what I do. And some people just don't understand that, and they're just gonna continue to attack me. But it's okay, because it's expected. I mean, just look at all the great leaders out there. Look at all the great leaders. A lot of people idolize and look up to Jesus, but look what happened to him. You know, a lot of people didn't like what he was doing, and they crucified him. You know, Socrates was spreading a lot of wisdom, but the people didn't like him, and they killed him. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. was doing something positive, they killed him. Malcolm X, they killed him. You know, so there's always going to be people that don't like you out there. And the people that want to continue to be real, don't allow these people to prevent you from being yourself.